Hi, Karen. It's so wonderful to see you after a little break. I am so excited about today's episode.
Katie, wonderful to see you as always. And oh my God, it's been a minute since we've had a guest. I mean, Tanya and Tori don't count as guests like
Yes.
anymore. So yeah, it's been a minute since we've like made a new friend. And I feel like we came into this interview like, oh no, we're gonna be friends with her, right? Like that's
Oh,
happening.
I mean, completely. And then after the interview, I'm like, wow, because listeners, behind the scenes, we've already recorded with Geraldine and now we're, doing the intro, but I really love her. I really do. Like I'm like, "Oh my God, I cannot wait to read her book. I'm so excited about everything she says." Like I think she is such a live wire and she has so much to say that's so important and interesting. I just thought it was awesome.
I really, I agree. I love talking to her. We are not gassing you up, Geraldine. We like legit like love you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
also like there's something also very like inspiring, is like a trite word, but it's just like meeting somebody who's both a great writer and just like really funny and really insightful and really all of the things in person. You're like, oh, right, humans like this exist. We aren't all just like
Yes.
sitting on our couch watching, like, hate watching the Gilmore Girls. Like, yeah, there's just something like, it's just, again, one of those conversations where you walk away and you're like, just a tiny bit smarter.
Yeah, for sure. And just like it gives you faith in humanity that there are critical thinking people out there that have original thought and like are not afraid to say what they feel and what they mean. And it's refreshing. And yeah, I just think it's incredible. Okay, so listeners, if you are also wanting to read something amazing, as Karen and I are, Geraldine DeRuiter just came out with a book. Well, actually, tomorrow, March 12th, 2024. Set your calendars because the book is going to go on sale tomorrow. The book's name is If You Can't Take the Heat, Tales of Food, Feminism, and Fury. And Geraldine is a James Beard award-winning blogger. She has an incredible blog called The Everywhereist, and she's also the author of All Over Peace, Adventures in Travel, True Love, and Petty Theft. Her writing has been everywhere. It's been at the Washington Post, the New Yorker, Marie Claire, Refinery 29. She's an amazing writer, and it's just, I also love that her and her husband are developing a culinary themed video game, Karen. Like, what? Yes, to that.
Yes, I will. Okay, wait, I think I heard this right. Her other book is all over the place.
All over the place. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I want to hear more about it. I want to hear more about all the things she's working on. But yes, the culinary themed video game for sure.
Seriously. I mean, yeah, if you can't take the heat, that is her new book. This conversation really covers a lot of things, and it's like it covers a lot of what her book is about, the impetus for her book. We talk about the election. There are all kinds of things that are like really juicy about this. But Karen, we haven't seen each other in 2 weeks. So how are you? How are things going?
Oh my gosh, Katie, I'm a hot ass mess. I'm not gonna
Oh
lie.
God.
I'm a
I
hot
love
ass mess.
the honesty. Oh no, are you okay?
Um, yes, I'm gonna be fine. Today's one of those days, like I'm wearing red lipstick. I don't know that we're gonna put this on YouTube. I'm wearing red lipstick today, and I put this on because it's International Women's Day, and I wanted to feel fancy in my rebellious sweatshirt. And also,
You
the
look
worse I
great.
feel, the more I'm like, lipstick will help me.
Oh,
I'm okay. I am just travel lagged. I haven't changed time zones, but starting February 19th until today, I have been home for like 3 days.
oh my
Not even,
gosh.
probably 2 days. Between February 19th and today, I've been home like 2 days.
Wait, Karen, that's like 3.5 weeks. Oh my God.
It's just like it's been great. I was in Alabama. I came home for a day and a half, and then I went to New York for work, and then we had fun in New York. And the one thing, I mean, so I got to see the people I wanted to see in New York, and I really wanted to see Ani DeFranco in Hadestown, and we did go. And then, oh my gosh, so good. It was
How
so fucking good. I was so glad we went.
I'm so happy for you. I know how much you love Ani DeFranco. That's amazing. You saw her in New York?
Yes, so Ani is in a Broadway musical right now
Oh.
called Hadestown.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's awesome.
Yes, so the show is called Hadestown. It's great. I mean, great isn't even the word for it, but she plays Persephone, the wife of Hades.
Oh.
So it's a retelling, yes, of this Greek myth um, of Orpheus and Eurydice and going to Hades and coming back. And it's just like this like very beautiful, poppy, amazing like allegory. And it's a musical and Ani plays Persephone and she was so fucking good. And then that was through Sunday. And then Sunday I took the train from New York to Philly and got home yesterday after spending a night in Atlanta because Delta Airlines sucks.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's a lot of travel. I'm sorry, Karen. That's exhausting. I mean, I don't have to tell you that. That sounds really tiring.
It was great. I mean, it was all great. It was like all really, really, really good stuff. But like, yeah, I really, if I never see another hotel room, and I love fancy hotels, but they were not all fancy. The Clarion Inn, not fancy.
Oh, in Sheffield, Alabama.
And
Yeah.
Sheffield, Alabama, God damn it.
Oh, I'm so glad you're home and you're okay and you're safe. And I mean, I hope like it's hard though to be away from your routine and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
to
Do you
wear
have like a
hard pants.
chill couple of weeks? No.
No, not at all. No, no, I'm home for 8 days and then I go to Tampa for a week for
Oh
work.
my gosh, you are jet setting now. Like this is like the year of Karen on a plane.
I mean, you're about to do even longer on a plane, so I'm not even gonna.
It's true. I have quite a bit of travel coming up as well. Yeah, but that's wow. Yeah. I'm glad you're okay. I'm sorry that's so exhausting. It
It
sounds fun though.
was great.
That's awesome. Yeah, things in my world have been rough. Just rough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I talked about it on the pod, but I mean, you and I obviously extensively have talked about how Lucy passed away, and it's been 6 weeks. Today's the 6 week.
Oh
You
my
know,
gosh.
I know, right? It's like, I know, 6 weeks. How did that
Wow.
happen? She was very old. She was my dog, for everyone who doesn't know. We had her for 13
Um,
years. It's brutal. The grief
oh my
is just
gosh.
unrelenting. But I found that I was dancing, like taking dance classes as a way to cope with my grief. And so I decided that in addition to taking dance classes, I was going to hold on even tighter and then become a dance instructor and have to go
Yes.
through an audition. Oh gosh, I mean, this could be a longer conversation, but basically, I'm not doing the audition. I decided after
Oh.
four subsequent, like four panic attacks that happened on subsequent days
Mm.
during dance class that I was like, oh no, this isn't good. My body is kind of like shutting this down. And I realized that
Mm.
it is okay to do something for pleasure and joy for yourself and no one else. That is like
Mm.
the headline on that. And so like I'm trying to embrace that, but also I have a little bit of I have some feelings because the one of the dance company owners basically pulled me aside and was like, "Hey, so you have really nervous energy and probably will fail your audition." And oh yeah,
Wait, Katie, what?
she wasn't trying to be mean. What am I
Oh.
saying? I'm caretaking for her. What? No, it was bitchy. But also
Oh
like
my God.
it
I
was
mean, like,
it
let's just.
was yeah, it was rough. And it was
Wait, she pulled you aside?
she's like, I think that we need to talk more about your audition. I want to see how far you've gotten. And also, maybe we could do some one-on-one sessions because I just don't want you to be disappointed if you, I mean, she said fail, but really, in
Oh.
my translation from her mouth to my ears was flat out fucking bomb because you suck at this. Like that was,
Oh no, my
which,
God.
I mean, the truth is that okay, it's shitty, period. That's the truth. But also it was what my mind needed. I don't know if that makes sense. So it's like my body already knew it wasn't the right thing, hence the panic attacks. But like my mind was like, no, let's push through this. Like this is great. This is the thing that's going to help you through your grief, and you're not going to feel as bad about Lucy's death. And then my mind got the message from her mouth to like my ear, and I was like, yeah, no, this isn't the right thing. And it's now I'm actually feeling better, honestly. It's a good thing. It really is actually a good thing. Not her shitty words, but like my choice not to do the audition. Anyway, that was a long rant about that, but yeah,
Uh, well, understandably long rant.
I know.
I am glad you are at peace with the decision. I wish it had not. Like, I don't. nobody wants to have a shenanigan interaction with somebody, right? Like, just no, thank you.
No, no, thank you. And when I told her that I was canceling my audition, she texted me immediately and like, was it me? Oh God. Like, and I was just like, oh, like it was
Girl,
just,
what?
yeah, exactly. Come on. Like, just come on. And so now I'm just like taking a couple days off dance and it's okay. I'm just doing it at my house and I feel fine about it. And
Mm,
ay, ay, ay. But yeah, it's nice to get back on in this like routine setting with you.
yes.
And I honestly really did love our conversation with Geraldine. I know
Yeah.
that she's probably listening right now. Thank you, Geraldine, for coming. Really, it was just amazing.
Oh my gosh. So grateful. Oh, I'm so looking forward to people hearing this. And I also will say, we'll just add this to the list. Katie, when we do our in-person recording slash conference, it will just have
Yes.
a dance party component led by
Mm,
you.
yes.
Like,
Yes.
so
There
we
you
don't need
go.
these people. We don't need these people.
No, I can just like, like
Oh,
everyone can just dance however they want. I was doing some Googling on ecstatic dance recently.
oh.
Ecstatic, have you ever heard of ecstatic dance? It's basically like you go into a room with a bunch of randos and you just dance by yourself. There's no touching. It's like this like super therapeutic somatic experience where sometimes like people play house music and sometimes hip hop and sometimes it's oldies and whatever, but it's like ecstatic dance. Look, I mean, I recommend anyone looking it up. I did it in the Bay Area. It was like a spiritual experience. You can like sit down, you can stand up. Some people are crying in the corner, it's just like whatever. Just whatever. It's no drugs. It's completely sober. There's nothing. It's during the day. There's no alcohol. It's
Mm.
yeah, it's totally sober. It's not at all about like being in a rave, but it's just expressing yourself. It's a sober rave, basically.
Oh my gosh. Oh, now I really am excited to do something in person because we could meet Tanya, we could meet
Yes.
Geraldine, we'll have Ginger Buddha. Oh,
Yes. We'll have some ecstatic dance sessions.
yes.
Stay tuned. We will also have tuxedo chocolate like just available.
One square at a time.
One square. Yes. All right. Thanks, everybody. And keep listening for Geraldine. Take care. Okay. Geraldine, welcome, welcome, welcome to our podcast. I mean, I already feel like we're BFFs. We've been talking for like 6 seconds. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh no, I've been weaving a friendship bracelet. So I assume we're not already friends. What's going on?
No,
We're not.
wait.
We are, right?
We are definitely,
Yeah.
totally.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Oh,
We're going back packing across Europe. It's happening.
it's happening.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Katie has a giant tent we can sleep in. This is amazing.
Oh, it's
Yes.
perfect. It's perfect. Love it. So
It is
excited.
perfect. I mean, we definitely want to talk to you about your new book, but we also realized in our little intro, like before we hit record, that you've been listening and you have some intel for us. Specifically, okay, like go back, listeners, if you haven't heard our last couple of episodes. I think it was our last episode where we talked about plastic covers on couches,
Yeah.
and we were like, we really need to do a Google deep dive of why there are plastic covers on couches, and also the name of the first lady who took over when her husband was not well. And I mean, abracadabra, poof. Here you are, Geraldine, and you're the one who has the answers to all this, which was not at all anticipated. So please, please, we would love to know.
All right. So shall we talk about which one should we talk about first?
Okay, so the first lady.
Okay.
Ooh.
And I'm looking up, this is terrible. I'm looking up her name.
Oh, right. Who knows
Yeah.
her? I mean,
Oh, right.
Oh, here it is. Okay, I've got her official name. So it's Edith Bowling Galt Wilson, which it's not a great name, but it was a different time, and she was Woodrow Wilson's wife and first lady. And so as he was getting sick, she did a bunch of work, like kind of stepping in behind the scenes. And I think a lot of it was they were trying to protect the public from knowing just how ill he was.
Mm.
So that, and I believe that she did that to the end of his term. Like,
Wow.
so yeah.
That's amazing. And are there years on this? Like, is this
Well, so I'm trying to figure out when he first, let's see. I mean, I'm looking at you, Wikipedia. So
I mean,
yeah. So
I mean, it's
But this,
okay. We can
he
also,
was in office. So he was in office from 1902 to 1910.
okay.
So she would have
Oh,
been doing this 10 years before women. When did women get the right to vote?
1920.
1918, 1920. Yeah.
19.
So she would have been doing
Wow.
this a decade before.
That's
Oh my gosh.
fascinating.
I mean, I love that framing too. The I will just say I only know that because my day job is at a place named for the 19th Amendment that was
Okay.
founded in 2020, which was the 100th anniversary of it taking effect. So yeah, that is fascinating. She couldn't even vote.
Yeah.
She was running the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay, well, thank you for that very
Yeah.
much. And then also number two, onto the plastic covered couches. Do you
Right.
have any historical context for that? Because that's fascinating.
So
P.S.
it
Thank you for even looking it up.
so the all I have is largely anecdotal. So this, I mean, if somebody wants to fact check this more, but my understanding is that people used to have slip covers, right, over their furniture, to kind of preserve it and keep it clean. And then towards the 40s and the 50s, as commercial plastics started to become more and more popular, those slip covers became made of plastic.
Oh.
Now, the impracticality of that, right? Like sitting on unbreathable plastic is actually worse than getting a stain on your couch. And
Right.
as fabrics started to become more manageable and easy to clean, we kind of got rid of slip covers altogether on furniture. So I feel like there's like a mid-century window where plastic on furniture was a thing.
I mean, this gives me a lot of comfort because it makes sense of one of the most nonsensical parts of my childhood, of course, which like, I mean, there's plastic. Yes, as we discussed, like I was in
Yeah.
Alabama when we were having this conversation, right? My grandparents' living room. And I feel like they didn't take that off until like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago.
Right. To keep it, to
Hmm.
protect it, right? To
Right.
protect the furniture.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you for this. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you so much. We really appreciate you not only listening, but actually doing some of the work for us.
My
So that's
God.
really, really, really helpful. Okay,
You're
so
hired, by the
Some
way.
listener, by the way, is going to come in and be like, none of that is true. Don't know what she's talking
I
about.
have the citations
Yeah.
and yes, my
And you know
library book.
what? I salute that person. Please feel free to actually me on any of this.
Ooh.
Oh,
Mm.
I'm fine with it. I've got no deep investment in plastic slip covers.
oh my gosh. I mean, I so appreciate it. Okay, so transitioning seamless segue into your
As
book,
we do.
Geraldine, because we're so excited to talk to you about this. Okay, so if you can't take the heat, Tales of Food, Feminism, and Fury, if we can like just bring people up to speed a little bit on, I mean, we're going to be doing, we'll have already done an intro of you before we start this conversation, but can you talk to us a little bit about how you got the idea for this book, like how it came about?
Sure, sure. Well, and let's say that excuse me, I drank an entire gallon of melted ice cream for lunch. So, um, the,
You're
uh,
4 days out from launch this week,
oh,
right? And so when this airs, I also want to say your book comes out tomorrow. So this will go live Monday the 11th, and then the
okay,
book is out the
wow.
12th.
Oh, yep.
Yes, so everybody
So
go
the book
order
comes
right
out.
now.
The book
Yeah.
comes out on the 12th. So the day after. So stop what you're doing. And please go buy 40 copies of my book.
Yes.
Um, from different independent retailers. Thank you.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. So so how did this start? All right, the sophomore book is notoriously, I found out as soon as I was done writing it, a friend of mine was like, that's the hardest book to write. She's written like 30 books. I was like, okay, thank you for not telling me right away. So I did not, my first book was about travel. It's right behind, this is my husband's office and he has my book on display. So it's
Oh,
right behind me. So all over the place was my first book and it was about travel. And it's just this fun kind of lighthearted travel memoir. Fast forward a few years, like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm in this malaise of like, I'm still writing about travel, but that feels it feels really out of touch. And the world that, like, the things that are happening in the world, kind of concurrent with me writing this pithy travel blog, it's hard to balance. As time progresses, I start moving away from travel writing. And then the beginning of the end of the world happens. Trump is elected. COVID is spreading. And I have at that point in time completely stopped writing about travel, but I don't know what I am writing about. Like, I have no clear anchor. In late 2017, Mario Batali sends an apology letter out for allegations of sexual harassment, which actually were way worse than, harassment. Like, the allegations were quite bad. Like, extreme crimes were committed. I'm trying not to get myself sued, so it's hard to know how to phrase this.
Fair, fair.
Allegations.
Allegations.
Of
The
Allegations
allegations
keeps
were
me
very
okay.
extreme.
Keeping it vague.
Yep.
And so he is allegedly a piece of shit, is what
Allegedly.
According
Allegedly.
reports say.
allegedly is a garbage human being.
Yes.
So
Oh,
he tries
God.
to get ahead of the story and sends out an apology with his newsletter.
Oh, God.
And at the end of the apology, he includes a recipe for pizza dough cinnamon rolls, which is a bad, I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is a bad recipe. Now, I normally I've been writing on my blog periodically about like random stuff. And because things have changed, like, I've started to write more about feminism, right? I've started to write more about issues that have a bit more gravitas than just travel writing. And so I decide I'm going to make these cinnamon rolls because the recipe looks like garbage. And I write about them, but I also write about it through the lens of the Me Too movement. And I interweave kind of some personal stories. I interweave some sort of larger scale stories. Hillary had just, lost. It felt quite recent, right? It was 2017. Her loss felt quite recent.
Yeah.
And so in early 2018, I published this blog post. The technical term is bonkers viral. So Martha Stewart is retweeting it. Pete Wells, who is the food reviewer for the New York Times, the food and restaurant reviewer, is retweeting it. It is everywhere. I think Eater magazine Eater does a piece on it. I'm being interviewed by my local newspaper, and then my Twitter account gets hacked. So, and I'm getting all this hate. I'm getting like death threats. I'm getting hate mail for a blog post.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get my Twitter account back. I'm getting like a glimpse of the dark underbelly of the internet. And a friend of mine, some months afterward, kind of, I like to say she bullied me into nominating myself for the James Beard Awards, like 10 minutes before the due date.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I do a quick nomination. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to win. Do a quick nomination. I get nominated, which again, I don't know, God got drunk. I get nominated. And when you say like it's just an honor to have been nominated, I was that's what my husband and I kept saying because we knew I wasn't going to win. Like, we're like, it's just the nomination is really the biggest honor here, because you're up against real food writers from the Atlantic and the New York Times. So like, you're not winning. And I kind of told myself that, and I didn't end up going to the awards show. And so I'm on because I had an obligation. I was speaking at this point in time. I'm speaking about online harassment. Like, I'm doing keynotes about this.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, well, I can't cancel this talk that I have planned to go to New York to lose an award. Like, that's not a logical step. so I am in Victoria, Canada, and I've just given my talk, and my husband and I are out. We're getting like a cup of coffee and we're walking around, and my phone starts like it is buzzing out of my
Oh.
pocket, and I've just won a James Beard Award,
Oh my God.
My gosh.
which
Oh my God.
is like me winning a James Beard Award is like, I don't know, it's like me telling you, you've just won a Grammy for having a clean house.
Oh my God.
Like, it's like this thing and this thing. What is happening? So,
Oh my God.
uh, this is a weird, like, it's a weird career detour. And now I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing?
Wow.
Now, then COVID happens.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
spend all of COVID, I think like most of us were like, this is the hardest time of my life. And I am going to try and create some big magical work of art. Right?
Yes.
Did you, what,
Naturally.
you both were here
Oh,
for
yeah.
this, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So I literally pitched a fiction book idea to my agent in October 2019. And she was like, I love it. Do it. It's
Oh.
about a global disastrous pandemic that separates a woman and her partner he has a restaurant, and it is about him trying to keep the restaurant afloat and like realizing the loss of that as the world starts to shut down. And then she's a journalist who uh, is kind of pursuing this megalomaniac sort of billionaire influencer. And as the world starts to sort of shut down, he becomes more and more high profile. Um, and I'm like, as I'm writing this, all of these things start happening. And I'm like, well, I can't write this book. Like, I
Okay, you're
can't.
a sage. Like what?
No.
Like, oh my
Seriously,
gosh.
like that is
Whoa.
scary.
Chills.
That is some very scary.
My friend Mike calls it my Cassandra novel. He's like, because you were speaking the truth and no one would ever hear it. And I was like, well, it didn't get written,
Wow.
so that's not accurate. But I think
Wow.
what it was I think we all were reading the tea leaves. Like, I think we all were like, something's on the horizon. Like the world, something is happening with the world. Um, I think we all felt it. And so I don't think it was that. Like, I've read other books around that time that really hit on these same topics that were published like years before. So I think we were all reading the tea leaves. But anyway, I felt like I couldn't write that book.
Yep. Mhm.
So from there, um, you know, uh, things start to open up in 2020. And like I'm spending these 2 years like writing shit, like writing it, throwing it out, like
Mm.
absolute malaise, somewhat writer's block, just not knowing what I'm doing. About 2 years after that, I guess it would have been 2021, end of 2021, restrictions open up. My husband and I go to Europe. We go to Italy. We see family I haven't seen in forever. We meet up with friends and we have this big, ginormous dinner at a very fancy Michelin starred restaurant. And it is a hot mess. It is the worst, one of the worst meals of my life. It's
Oh God.
4 hours long.
Oh
And
my
they
gosh.
serve us like 200 calories.
Oh, okay. You had like one bean.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh wait, I saw something about this on your Instagram. Okay, sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead. I
No, you can totally ask or interrupt. Please do, because I will ramble on for forever. So, yeah. No, Karen, please. I know
No,
I
no.
can feel it. I feel you wanting to say something about it.
I just saw on Instagram there was a mold of the chef's mouth that you had to, and they didn't give you utensils, and there was like some kind of liquid in it. And the only way to get at it, they wanted you to lick it out of this mold of his open mouth.
No,
They
no, no,
wanted
no.
you, yeah.
That's
So they
not
give
real.
you, it looked like the way I say it is the logo from, you remember the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Do you remember the logo on the front, the planet with the big open mouth?
Yes,
So
yeah.
that's what it looked like. It was like this sphere with this big open mouth, and they were like, there was no spoon, and there's a foam inside, and so you had to lick it out.
No.
And then when we were done, and I'm starved at this point, I'm like, whatever, I need calories to get to have my strength to fight my way out of this restaurant when this is over. And afterward, the server came and he grabs the ramekin and he turns it over and he's like, "Oh, lucky you." And he tells us which chef's mouth we slurped out of.
Ew. Oh God.
Oh my gosh, that's
What?
so offensive and disgusting. I mean, beyond. Like,
It's such an exercise in narcissism, right?
Oh yeah.
so
Yeah.
literal. Like, it's like that
It's
is.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's bad.
gosh.
It's straight up bonkers bad. So I wrote a post about it, and all of my friends who were there that night are like, "Wow, you were restrained." So I write this post, and again, I don't expect it to do it. Like, you never expect when you do something like that, you don't expect virality, right? Never expect virality. And again, it gets picked up, but this time like it goes viral internationally. So I'm in the Italian news. I am in the US news. I'm doing interviews to the Washington Post. Stephen Colbert did a segment on it.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm getting something like 5 million visitors to my blog. My blog is crashing.
Oh my God.
And I'm having a talk with a friend of mine, and I'm like, I don't know what my second book is going to be. And she goes, why don't you write a series of essays on about food? And I said, but I'm not a food writer. And she goes, really?
Hmm.
I was like, okay, point taken, point taken. Um, so that led to which was this book, which is called If You Can't Take the Heat. It is out the day after we are talking because this is coming out in the future, but it is now 4 days away from me. So that is why I'm standing here with unwashed, uncombed hair, braless in my pajama pants, like trying to hold it together. And my husband's like, maybe take your foot off the gas. I'm like, I can't. But
Oh God.
it is about our complex relationship with food, with feminism. It is the story behind these stories. So it is about the abuse that I got after these stories went viral. In the latter case, like from the chef himself, it's about like the New York Times writing a puff piece about this chef and completely skewering me, making me out to be the big bad blogger. So
Mm.
it's all these layers. And then within that, it's also like getting targeted with, calorie counting and diets and all of these things about being healthy when really they just want you to hate your body. And how it's not just women who deal with that, it's all of us. And how this mentality really hurts everyone. And I try and within all of that, make it funny. So yeah, backwards in heels is this book.
Ah, feminism, but keep it light.
Yeah,
I
feminism, but make it fun.
Hmm.
so one of the things I said to Katie, and I have in our notes, is like I love this interweaving of a chapter's never just about food, right?
Right.
Right. And it's the same thing with I did read the Mario Batali essay. It's also not about, it's about making the cinnamon rolls, but it's not about making the cinnamon rolls. And
Mhm.
I just love this marrying of these things, obviously. And I think I'm older than the both of you, but I think we
I
are
don't think you are,
the
but
same age-ish.
I think we are the same age-ish. Yeah.
Because if you were a toddler in the early 1980s, you were Katie's age.
I'm 43.
Oh, okay.
I'm 42.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm 48.
Fuck off.
Thank you for that, Katie. Can we use that as a promo for
Definitely.
right? Oh my God, 49 in fucking July. So I'm getting to a question here, I promise. One of the things I love about all of this is that like you talk about all of the warped shit that shaped us,
Yeah.
right? And exactly like you're describing, like this like weirdness about food, weirdness about our bodies, weirdness about our relationships with men. I fortunately don't have relationships with men, but I respect those of you who do. So I just wanted to name like it's refreshing to feel seen. And the question is like, why is it important for the women of our age to keep telling our stories?
Well, I think because this is the age, like, right? We're post 36. So this is the age where we are told from a societal standpoint that we should be driven out to a field and left there.
Defend for ourselves.
Just standing there. For some reason, we're all in long prairie dresses in this scenario. I don't know why. But yes, the male elders of the village have deemed, our barren wombs no longer bear fruit, or perhaps they never did. Or perhaps we are too mouthy with our mouths, quoth the elders. And so they take us out into the fields and they leave us, right? So I think there's this idea that, as you get older, you become irrelevant, right? And men, what is it? Women get old, men get distinguished.
Oof.
And Andy McDowell talked about this because she's gone, completely gray. She looks gorgeous. But people are always, every interviewer wants to ask her about her hair. And she's like, no one's asking Clooney about his hair. No one's asking Steve Martin about his hair. Everyone's asking me about mine. So I think that, I think it is this realization that, like, if no one else is going to listen to us in the end, we have to listen to ourselves, right? Fundamentally, like, we have to hear each other when we speak. But also, like, we really need to be driven in understanding that our stories have value. Like, can we talk about menopause for a second, or perimenopause?
Please.
Okay.
Please.
Which no one talks about. It sounds like it's a bad word that no one talks about. And you're not told, like, it was this understanding of, this is what you're going to experience in your 50s. And that's like what the societal kind of definition of it is. It's like, oh yeah, like I was watching some TV show and the woman's experiencing like menopause symptoms because she's in her early 50s. Or maybe late 50s. And I'm like, what?
No.
I'm having hot flashes in my late 30s. So, and that's not something that we were prepared for. And then it's made to seem like it is this failing. Like, once your body starts to age, well, you turn to dust, and we don't have decent treatments for osteoporosis because it disproportionately affects women. So to hell with you. And again, they drive us out into the woods. So like, I do think that this is stuff that we need to talk about because no one else is. And like, we need to tell each other, like, we need to create some sort of, network of informing one another. Right.
Yes.
Because there's like, literally, there's not even medical publications about it. So yeah, that's part of why. And also because if I don't put this stuff in a humorous light, I will lose my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is going to help so many people. Seriously. Like,
Right.
it's just, like you say, there's not a network of like people, like women telling women about their experiences. I mean, it's like, you can't join a Facebook group that would like be the thing that would actually be healing for all of the things that we deal with out in the field while we're in our long prairie dresses. Like, this is so hard. Like,
Right.
it's hard. And I mean, I give you so much credit, Geraldine, for making this also humorous, because it's like that is a particular skill that I think makes it it's almost like it makes it, I don't want to say like more relatable, but like it's like we can hear it better. I think
Yeah.
there's like something to be said for that, because it's like when you only make things like serious, 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 people are just like, oh my God, I can't take it all in. And it's not that it shouldn't be serious all the time, but like the
Right.
fact that you have that skill to make it humorous. I mean, I so appreciate that. And I would love to ask you about chapter 7, The Only Thing in My Oven, because when we were preparing for this, Karen specifically shouted out that section to me. And it seems as though you talk a lot about the choice not to have children. And I love how, like, your turn of phrase, the only thing in my oven, like, I mean, honestly, that's just brilliant. And so I'd love to hear what your thoughts are around that chapter, like kind of what went into that chapter and what came up for you in terms of that topic.
Yeah. Well, so, uh, you know, to Karen's point, and I can't remember if she said this before or after we started recording. Karen, you tell me, was food writing you essentially said food writing is never really about food, right?
Yeah.
Like it's always something bigger than that. And that's something that I've always held true, right? It's not like, are you actually writing about chocolate chip cookies, or, are you writing about some sort of fundamental, you know, role that women have historically had? And so I knew that I wanted to write about the fact that I'm a 43-year-old woman without kids, and I've been with my partner for 22 years. So I have heard I've heard every single comment about this. I have been pulled aside at parties.
Mm.
I have been cornered and questioned. And at the point, and if you think about fundamentally what people are asking you, it's so deeply personal. Yeah. And so I realized that, like, the one kind of thing that I do that is, I do a lot of things that are weirdly maternal while simultaneously not having or wanting children, is I bake a lot. And that is something we've always associated with, like, warm, nurturing motherhood. But none of the women in my family who actually did have kids baked.
Oh,
Interesting.
So, yeah, so I wanted to explore that a bit, but also just like talk about what it is to not have children and all of the intrusive questions that you get. And then if you do have kids, it's not much better. Like if you have one, people are like, when are you going to have another? Or if you have several, people are like, well, look at all that you've sacrificed to do that. And the way that division of labor plays out. I have a friend who is an active and involved father, and he says the way that people act like I am some sort of savior because I do 49% of the work. So
Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to talk about that and chocolate chip cookies.
I don't like, ooh, I read Katie this. I'm just going to read this first paragraph of
Yeah.
this chapter because I feel like it says so much. And it's so I will also say background. Katie is too humble to say this. We have 2 episodes about this from Katie, and just the rawness of it and the vulnerability of it and how difficult it is to say these things out loud. So I'm going to read this first paragraph, even though you just said a lot of it. I am in my 40s and I do not have children. This is by design, though occasionally I let people think that it is perhaps due to factors that are beyond my control. This deliberate obfuscation of the truth feels like a betrayal of some feminist doctrine I thought I believed in. And yet the indisputable fact is this: people are a lot kinder about me not having children when they think it was something I chose.
Yeah.
And that to me is a fucking mic drop of like, we're so shitty to people.
We're so shitty. And we really don't want to give, I say women, but let's make this a inclusive conversation, right? Anyone who
Absolutely.
can get pregnant, people with uteruses,
Yes.
which I tried to do several times in the book. And my editor was like, we know what you're saying. Like, that's a very long sentence now. So
Birth givers, right?
birth
Yes.
givers, yes. We don't want to give us any sort of control over this, right? But we do want to judge. We want to judge till the end of the day,
Yes.
right? And there's no avoiding the judgment on either end, right? And the only thing that I realized coming out of this is that as a woman without kids, I can say, I don't know if I've made the right choice. But if you do have children, you're not allowed to say that, obviously, right? You're not allowed to. But I know so many people who feel that way.
Yes.
They're like, I don't know. And I think if we just allowed people that grace and we were just like, yeah, like it's fucking hard and there's no social like protections, there's no social services, there's no network of people helping you. We say, oh, it takes a village, but there's no village. Like there's not. If you don't have a ton of family with whom you have a great relationship, hopefully a supportive spouse, and a ton of disposable income, I don't know how you have children. I
mean, full
don't.
stop.
Yeah.
Totally. Totally. And back to your comment earlier about not seeing the value in women over 35, I think that translates to not seeing value in women who don't have children. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's just, it's so hard. Like, I went through a hysterectomy a year ago, and that's when what Karen was mentioning, talked about like the comments. I mean, honestly, Geraldine, I know, oh, the getting pulled aside at parties, getting all of that. I mean, it's just, and I think what, it's mostly for me has been very insidious, where it's happening, the energy, people are not like so overt, but then every once in a while, it's like the random neighbor who you met once a year ago saying something to you that you're like, whoa, I'm gonna take that to my grave. Like, it's like so hard. And so it's just yeah, it's rough. Like, it's so rough. And I so appreciate you bringing this up. And it dovetails perfectly into my next question about the promotion process for this book. So, like you said earlier about how there aren't conversations happening like this. These essays that you wrote are so deeply important, and women are not able to always have these types of conversations or be comfortable having these types of conversations, or they're not in spaces where they're having them. So when you're promoting this book about these conversations, what has that been like so far? Like, how are people receiving you, and like, what's happening in the world that you're experiencing toward you or for the book or any of that? I would love to know.
Uh, that's an interesting, wow, that's a really profound question. And I think it's not one that I've thought about because
That's Karen's question, by the way. Giving
yeah.
credit to Karen. She made up that question. It's on the list. I'd like that credit where credit's due. It's
You
Karen's question, please.
delivered it beautifully. Thank you.
And I would say it's not one that I've thought about in terms of, is there an alternative to this? Right. But there have been moments where I find myself, tell me if you do this, when you have done or said something that is true and that you believe in, but you realize that it is causing discomfort to the other person because they now have to see you as like a woman in the world, or, Karen, like a Black woman in the world, or, whatever you are bringing to the table, a disabled woman in the world, or a trans woman, or, whatever experience that you have in the world that you are bringing, and you have said something and you can tell they're now uncomfortable, and you start to adjust to make them feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd say this as like, I'm coming to the table with a ton of privilege, and I find myself doing that. And I'm like, shit. So I've been kind of acutely aware of that, right? Like, I had a call with somebody, and afterward he sent me the like, I hope you don't think I'm a sexist.
Oh God.
Oh my God. Ugh. Barf. Just begging you to caretake for him.
Right? I haven't replied yet because I haven't had the bandwidth. Which is funny because now poor guy's stewing, like worried that I do think he's a sexist. And I don't know that I do. I don't know him well enough, but he said some things that were a little bit off, and I called him on it. So it's complex. It is very complex. I feel lucky. And I will say, without without naming names, the women have showed up for me in beautiful ways. Like, when it comes to interviews, when it comes to promoting, like, just beautiful, beautiful ways. Like, women have shown up for me in this book, which has been fantastic. And that really makes me happy. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love to hear that. I'm so relieved to hear that. And like,
Too.
we will, of course, in the show notes, Katie does them. All of the ways that you can buy this book and all the ways that you can access your writing in other ways. And okay, I'm looking at the time. Okay, we're good. So I think like in response to that, oh, that discomfort, Katie and I have talked about this so much, and like forcing yourself or forcing myself when I feel the discomfort to stop talking. Because this, you get this wash of emotion, this wash of like, it's not quite shame, but it's not shame. And it's just like, you feel the discomfort and then you want to take care of them. And then you start filling in this silence with this
Mhm.
shit that like takes all these things back and betrays yourself. And it's just like
Mhm.
so hard.
Well,
Like,
I didn't mean
know
it
what I
that
mean?
way.
Yes,
Oh,
exactly. No, no, no. You know what I mean? But I'm not saying you're sexist, motherfucker. You are. But like,
Yes, exactly. I'm actually, that's
like,
what I'm saying. But yeah.
like that's actually what I'm like. It's just that like, oh my God, like forcing yourself to like just let it land.
yeah.
Oh, it's nerve-wracking.
I even did it today. I pulled back. I was like, I don't know that he's sexist. Like he's fine. He's fine. Probably not that
I mean, everybody's a little sexist,
fine.
right? Oh my
Yeah.
I
God.
think Karen, I think you're so right. Like creating that silence, like let people stew in their discomfort.
And you got to stew in it too. That's the worst
Yeah.
part. Like it's there and there. Like, yeah, Kay and I talk about this energy all the time. Like you both just gotta like
Mhm.
just sit there with it.
You have
Yeah.
to suffer. Sometimes we have to suffer other people's growing pains. Sometimes they have to suffer mine. Like that's happened plenty of times.
It's so hard though. I have a friend who she does the silent thing and then she also will just be like, "What was that?" and then silent. She'll be, and I've seen it. I've been, yes, that is my reaction, Geraldine, because she
Oh
she
my.
doesn't give a fuck. She genuinely does not get. She like is maybe one of like the only people I know, and she's like, "Can you repeat that? What was that you just said? Like what?" And then every single time I've been around her when she said this, the other person, usually a white guy, is like, I didn't. I mean, like what I meant. Like it wasn't. I mean, and she's like, yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, that is a steal. Like in like that, I want to be that person.
I would pay classes for
Yes,
someone to teach me
I should
how to
tell
do.
her.
I would pay classes.
Yeah, I would pay too because I think it's also, at least for me, it's inherent. It's a instinct. It's like an impulse. It's not something that I think about to overcompensate or like to like to caregive. It's something that's like an instinctual is what I meant. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I think because we're designed, if we make people who have more power than us uncomfortable, that isn't right. We perceive that as we're historically and socially, that is not an act of self-preservation,
Totally.
right? So it is, I need to make sure, I need to make sure you're comfortable. And that's one of the, like, it's not just fight or flight. There's two others. There's freeze and appease. And so it's like, gotta
Ooh.
appease you, right? That's what that is.
Survival.
Appease, I'd never heard that one.
I've never heard
Yeah,
appease either.
that's a big one for me.
Ooh.
It's not great.
Classes. We're gonna take classes together. It's fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Katie, I'm looking at questions. Are you looking at questions?
I'm looking at questions. I actually love this question, which is, I mean, so this also is one of Karen's questions. Thank you, Karen. About the election cycle, Geraldine, I would love to just know, like, how are you doing? Like, how are you doing? Like, just that's it. That's all. I'll just
Yes,
stop.
it's just like hour.
Yeah.
Not good. Unwell.
Yes.
Ooh,
Looking up how I can get Canadian citizenship. No,
Yeah.
it's I hate that every 4 years we have to scramble and fight and donate money and try and do all of these things to combat something, a very small percentage of the world's population and a very small percentage of the American population, right? Like they are not the majority. from plunging us into total fascism.
Yep.
I hate that. It makes me so enraged. I hate Mitch McConnell. I hope
Oh my
whatever
God.
he is feeling right now, I'm gonna just rant. I will cheer the day that man dies. I will cheer, and I hope that whatever he is experiencing is painful. And I hope he is acutely aware of the end coming to him, and I hope it is soon. And it is already too late. If he dies tomorrow, he will have lived too long. I hate him. I hate him with all of the soul of my being. Um, I I absolutely cannot stand this white trad wife fundy bullshit that is taking over this country. I hate the racism and the xenophobia and the anti-trans rhetoric and the anti-LGBTQIA rhetoric. I hate all of it with a passion, and yet I am one person who lives in a blue state. So besides voting and throwing money at other elections, I'm not sure what I can do, and I feel so powerless every day. And there are 24 fucking states where abortion has essentially been made illegal, and there were so many people saying this was happening. There were so many people saying that this was happening, and we were made out to be hysterical and irrational. And I am angry every day, and I am holding on to this glimmer of hope, but also I'm trying not to pay attention too much because I will go crazy. And that is where I am. And that is probably not the best answer that I could have given. And that's where I am.
That could be on a plaque. The whole part, including the part about Mitch McConnell. I will say, kudos. That was the most eloquent answer to that question I could have. I mean, honestly, that was.
I'm probably gonna get put on a do not fly list now.
I mean, book tours are overrated, right? Like, you don't.
Right. I do not personally wish him. I will not do any acts to hasten his death.
Yes.
I am no threat to him.
That's good.
No.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. That sounds like
Yes.
legal. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Legally, yeah.
That's good.
Uh-huh.
That's good.
But if the swift hand of death comes for him,
Oh God. I mean, I also feel like the eloquence around the helplessness. Like, what else?
Yeah.
What else? Like, I have a friend who ran for her local school board,
yeah.
and she like loves it, right? And it was like not competitive, but she's a graphic designer. It's Emily from Lime Red, right?
Oh my
Like,
God, what? That's amazing.
right? She's on the school board in Skokie, Illinois. She fucking loves it. And I, of course, know her ADHD brain well enough to know like this is a stepping stone for her. Now she has been elected to an office. And that means she can be elected to more offices. And I'm like, okay, you have a plan. I appreciate this about you, right? Like you have your like answer to this what the fuck do we do question. And I don't, for the rest of us, like, I don't want to run for office. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I live in Indiana now. God help me. So like I just, yeah, that sense of like, other than the throwing the money, what do we even do?
Yeah. And that's it. Because everybody's like, oh, you should run for, I want us to not be a fascist country. I have to run for office.
Yeah.
I just don't want a vote in Wyoming to count 4 times what a vote in California does.
Totally. Oh. I so
On an
appreciate-
uplifting note.
Yeah, on an uplifting note.
No, let's keep raging.
It's International Women's Day. That's what it's for.
I
Yeah.
know. I was just thinking that actually, that like we're recording this on March 8th, International Women's
Yeah.
Day, and we could not have a better guest, Geraldine. Seriously,
Oh,
thank you
stop.
so. No,
Who
for
are you
real though.
talking about right now?
You and you. I mean, I am so glad that you're here. Thank you so much for your time. I want to respect your time. I know that we are at time, and definitely, friends, look in the show notes. There will be a link to the Mario Batali essay. There will be multiple links to where you can buy Geraldine's book and how you can follow her on all the platforms. Thank you. Seriously, thank you so much
Oh
for
my
taking the
gosh,
time.
of course. Thank you so much for having me. I feel like I'm about to start apologizing. I'm not going to. I'm not. I'm going to stop.
Oh my gosh, you're brilliant. We had so much fun talking to you. And I want you to be thinking about, like, I've already written down like a number of the episodes you're going to be back for. You're going to come back for perimenopause and menopause.
Yes, please.
Fucking trad wives. Somebody, we need to have a conversation about this shit. Yeah, no, I've got a
Yeah.
list.
Yeah. And it's funny because a lot of them are food influencers, right? And that's kind of my world. A lot of them are. So that's real interesting.
That is really interesting.
Yeah.
That would be a fascinating conversation if you were willing to chat with us again. Oh my gosh, that would be so much
Yeah.
fun. Wow.
Yeah. We could totally talk about that.
When you resurface from book promotion land.
Yes.
And put on a bra and wash my hair.
I mean, well, let's not get crazy. Whoa,
Right.
one thing at
We're
a
not
time.
meeting the queen.
Right, exactly.
Come on.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much, Geraldine. We so appreciate it. And we'll see everybody next week.